for the Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting your way with real leaders, real stories, and real impacts. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, welcome to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today's question, in a world where everyone is chasing the same trends, how do you become the person worth paying attention to? To answer that question, we have Jeff Burnett. Jeff has spent nearly 2 decades convincing journalists, creators, executives, and occasionally complete strangers to pay attention to things. As the Chief Evangelist at the Shorty Awards, board chair of the Creators Guild of America, and advisor for creators for mental health, he's built a career at the intersection of media, technology, and the creator economy. When he's not helping brands like Adobe, FIS, Wordplay, and dozens of other fast-growing companies tell better stories, Jeff hosts the award-winning It's No Fluke podcast, which I have recently got a chance to be a guest on. It's also the No Fluke podcast is closing in on 400 episodes featuring creators, founders, executives, and other fascinating people who somehow agreed to talk to him. He's also a Shorty and Webby award-winning creator and publishes a newsletter reaching more than 400,000 subscribers. Beyond that, he's an amazing guy. I super loved hanging out with him, and welcome to the show, Jeff. Oh, I have you on mute. There we go.
Hey, thank you. Happy to do a home and home. I love a good home and home.
Yeah. I didn't, I didn't realize that's what it's called, but yes, I do like a little home invasion.
Well, Simply Safe would not like that, but yes.
And we're off the rails. Let's talk about this. This is fun for me because you are such an amazing host. I got to go listen to the show, and I appreciated your ability to ask great questions as I was just running amok all over the place. So now it's your turn to shine. Before we get you going here, Chief Evangelist at the Shorty Awards. That is fantastic. Talk to me about that title.
When you get to do cool stuff, you get to make up your own title because it's Val Afshar at Salesforce made that pretty famous. But essentially being able to be at the intersection of host, creator, mascot, person that reminds everybody that you're alive, that's kind of the point.
I love it. So how did you get into the world of media, PR, creators, podcasting, and all the other things that have to do with media and saying fun things? How'd you get in here?
Ooh, long story medium. I was classically trained as an experiential marketer, blowing stuff up on bridges and working with automakers. I quickly realized that wasn't sustainable because you spent 90% of your budget on all that fun stuff, but not on the good stuff. So I kind of took and pared that down, ran it through a sifter, became a PR person. As I was being a PR person, there's an interesting thing. This will be the first of many shameless plugs into my own podcast, but I was talking to Ryan Serhant, and he was talking about doing the same thing in real estate where he was not really a real estate agent, but became one out of necessity and out of fun. Told a really interesting story on my podcast about how he basically faked it until he could make it. For me, I was kind of realizing similarly to other people in certain industries, PR people are typically behind the scenes. They are not the talkers. They are not the people who are out there. We're designed to just kind of you be out there and support people. And Drew, my ego was just too big. It could not be shelved in there. It had to escape out somewhere. So I became a creator on Twitter. I kind of basically ran a parody for half a decade where I was kind of parodying Gary Vaynerchuk's hustle culture, but in the opposite direction. Just talking to people about the 2-hour work week and what we could do with less. Yeah. Did some stuff on Vine, a lot of different platforms. What I really started to figure out was that I wanted to exist in a place where I understood the world as a creator. I got my own brand partnerships. I did those things. But I also wasn't so invested in it because that's not where I started. So I wasn't so invested in it that I wanted to make that my 30-year career. So I kind of decided I wanted to really be into creator partnerships. It's why, thanks for the really great intro. That's why I have all these organizations that I work with, because I'm intent on and focused on making sure you facilitate better relationships for creators. That's what grows the industry. That's what I'm passionate about. But, to be granular, it's how you get to a point where you don't have 50-page briefs. Get that thing down to 2 pages. It's where people get paid within 30 days. If you make some of these things more efficient, more tangible, everything grows much faster. And then we get to the logical conclusion, which is some people are like, well, where does the creator economy go? I'm like, I don't know. Are you on a phone? Like every consumer will tell you with their very, very short and increasingly shorter attention span, this is where things are heading. They just might not know exactly how and where it gets there. But if you just take like your marketing or any other hat off, please don't be wearing 7 hats at once. It's really hard to walk. But I think you want to be honest with yourself and go, I am a consumer first. And clearly that's where things are going. It's not going to be, a 22.5-minute sitcom.
Yeah, no, I love this. This is actually like I say this all the time. We are heading off an AI trust cliff. Like I don't answer phones. I don't think that you answer phones. If I don't know your number, I'm probably not answering your phone. Certainly not your voice phone call. Maybe not your text. I'm sending it to the little thing that Google has where it like pre-screens your calls. That's just on cold calls. But media is going to be the same way. I think there's this like there's a different world. There's the social media world, and then there's the real world. And AI is making the social media world so much more replicatable. I have a friend right now that all of his posts are written by AI. He has an agent that scrapes the things that are happening and it throws up what he might say about them. It does an okay job. And several times I've been like, oh, cool. And like gave him a little clap sign. And I was like, wait a minute. I know for a fact this isn't you because we were talking about this last night. So we're all falling off this AI trust cliff. And it's really going to devolve into this world of, can you clearly define what you're doing? And do I know and trust? I think it's very cool.
Well, to give you like a fun story on that, like again, if you think about the way that large language models are built, they're built so that it has to answer a question for you. It can never leave something unread. It can never leave you hanging. It has to be like, oh, I mean, and that's the joke of that sometimes it's overwhelmingly positive, but it has to tell you something to keep the conversation going. There can never be a hard stop. And so what happens is it's sea of sameness, just a fast descent to mid. What happens is you wind up with content that's all kind of being put through a funnel to get to something that's like, well, I could see it this way, or I could see it that way, or it could do this, or it could do that. And I mean, kind of the genesis of what we want to talk about, and we'll get there whenever, is that you're going to see so many people, because it's the path of least resistance, use those things. And by the way, I don't judge. Use AI all you want. I use it too. I use it for a lot of things. I have an open club. But I think you're just trying to find different ways to do it rather than being the 101,000th person to try and do the same thing, because you know the result won't be there. It's like the person that takes a bunch of time a generation ago to just send about a bunch of cold call emails. And then they get excited if the percent response rate is like 0.4%, right?
Yeah.
I want to live in the world where I make something a 50-50, not a proposition where I have to annoy 99 out of 100.
Yes. And I think that's what we all hate about what we've called marketing. I said this at Innovate. You and I both shared the stage at Innovate. I think that people treat in-person events like a funnel. And to be fair, on some level, if you're going to a networking event and it's not generating income for you, maybe that's either you need to gain some skills or that's not the networking place for you. Sure. But human interactions aren't a funnel. That's a marketing behavior. That's an algorithm. But human behaviors are about being in the room. I don't need your service right now, maybe, but it's good to know that you're there. And I find that there's, in human interactions, I think it happens a third or fourth time. I'm like, you know what? I really do like you. What is it that you do again? In that moment where I'm like, no, like, because I asked you that the first time and probably, the last 2 times we saw each other, but there comes this moment where I'm like, remind me what you do again. And that's where we're trying to get to. Do you have any quick tips that you use in those scenarios?
I think it vastly depends on your industry. I always want to couch any advice I'm giving with, it depends on who you are. It depends on where you are in the power dynamic. It depends on, a variety of factors in your background. I'm like, do you need to close on 2 things this week or you lose your house? I mean, that's going to change your whole landscape. So I like to say, like, I'm operating from a position of privilege in a lot of different ways, right? What I think I have learned to do quicker than I probably intended, but hopefully kind of stumbled into it, is I'm never selling. I mean, I have a service and I have things I do, But I think my whole vision on that is that I actually truly believe this and earnestly want to just be helpful. However, I can be more of a listener rather than a talker. I'm comfortable. I like talking, but I think I would just like to force myself to be a better listener. So that's why, like in those settings, I tend to try and think of it this way. Everybody, especially in the attention economy, where we all kind of have to be a brand, we have to sell something,
Mm-hmm.
wants to be able to tell that story. And if you can be the person who helps them facilitate that, and you can help them tell their story, or you can help them connect to someone, that's where it's not media exclusive, right? Like obviously I have a podcast and I have different avenues and I write for Yahoo and I can do all these things to help people. But I think what I've always thought is if you can be a connector rather than a salesperson over the long arc of whatever your career is, that will serve you better.
I love that. So you've done over 400 episodes on your podcast, not to mention the Shorty Awards, which have had a couple of pretty high-profile people grace the stage. Give me a couple of the most interesting folks that have been on your stage.
Oh gosh, interesting folks have been on a stage. One time, I won't tell you who was dressed up at the poop emoji got an award. So we we got that. At this most recent show, we had Haley Bailey and Cheryl Lazar and Mark Cuban making a special appearance. So fun things like it's in Jordan Howlett. If people know him, probably more from his fame on TikTok of just having the Food Secrets Club.
Right.
But there are Salish Matter. The interesting thing is, ask somebody under the age of like 14 who Salish Matter is, they will get it. Maybe not 18 above, but just absolutely crushing it on YouTube. She's got like 85,000 people to show up to a mall in an era where it's hard to get 3. So I think that's been pretty impressive. But no, it's been I've had the benefit, like I won one 11 years ago, and then I just never left the board and never left the building apparently, and decided I really wanted to kind of be involved. And I felt like that was a great career catalyst for me to age myself. I won it when I was 30, and it opened up a lot of doors. And so I've always wanted to be involved and kind of try to help facilitate and elevate and give people that moment that they can use to kind of use the platform for their careers. Like, thankfully there are more recognitions and there are more things in that industry, and there's more eyeballs and focus than there were 11 years ago. But there's still, it can't hurt to be, honored and recognized in that space, and hopefully, turn that into whatever you want to turn that into.
Yeah. Well, so here's what I wanted to ask about that, though. You've had this amazing opportunity to see all sorts of folks before they became famous, while they're mid-fame, kind of post-fame. Is there any signals, red flags, green flags that you notice as you meet those folks when you look at someone, you're like, that person's going to go far, or that person's on their way out? Are there any intangibles that you see that we should watch out for?
I would say, like, yes. I'll get to that in a second. I would also say that there's no one set way to do that. I was having this conversation with somebody on the pod recently, and we were talking about like, avenues into the creator economy, especially. And it's like, the interesting thing is Hollywood a generation ago would have been like, well, you have to fit this stereotype, and we need you to be this kind of person. And then maybe you elevate to, leading roles, or maybe you do this. And, in this, like, there is really no economy of scale. If you find something that's resonant and it works, great. And then it's on you to try and figure out how to give that staying power. That's the harder part, right? It's easier access in, and it's easier for shoots and ladders right the hell out. And so that's the stress of the industry. I would say this, and it's true to politicians. It's true to a lot of people. It's being present. It's being, especially when we don't have attention span, it's being able to be present in that room. And even if you have 11 different things that you're thinking about, and even if you have really hard, debilitating ADHD, I've often told the story where mine is so hard that I will ride a Peloton while listening to a podcast, while watching something on TV, or playing, PlayStation, and that's not enough to really calm me down. So clearly, like, we have all this input. It's the ability to just be present, lock in, even if that's for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and then not stay too long. Don't overstay your welcome. Just be intentional, be there, and then be on to the next thing. So you have a little bit of mystery. That is perfect.
I love that. Actually, so I have a slightly different view on that, and so I really like to tease this out.
Oh,
I
I'm
think,
waiting for the challenging part. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah, I think that the relationships happen at the after party. So
Yes.
there's the first 15 minutes, and then nobody's there, and then somebody shows up, and then there's kind of the mingle period, and then there's like, all right, I've mingled with enough people. I really want to go talk to that guy over there, or that girl over there,
Mhm.
and then there becomes that moment in the meeting where you're like, I'm going to go get a drink or go have dinner or go hang out at the cigar bar, whatever it is. That's the excuse. I love the Goodwill Hunting scene where he's like, "You want to get some caramels sometime?" And you're
Mhm.
like, I mean, you're like, kind of, you're missing the moment, man. But also, it's just the thing that we're doing, the little MacGuffin that we're chasing. You want to be
It's the third
invited.
or fourth conversation, right? It's not that first interaction, for sure.
Yeah. I had a mentor of mine that said, people are like cats. I don't like cats. I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog person. My wife is a cat person, so there's a little, joyful rivalry there. But a cat, if you want a cat, like my daughter loves cats, and so she chases down every cat that she sees, and she grabs a hold of the cat and she pets him and she names him George, right? Um, but but for me, for instance, I don't like the cat, so I'm just kind of like, whatever, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and the cat's always in my lap, right? I'm not the one
Yes.
that I'm not the cat person, but the cat is in my lap because the cat knows it can get away. And I find that
Mhm.
people, if they figure out, hey, I can get away from you, then they're more than happy to come and hang by you because you're the safe place because they can leave whenever they want. Um, but then I always invite them. I always plan the evening ahead with my family, my wife, whoever. I'm like, listen, I'm going to be out till midnight because I'm going to go to the party. I'm going to find the people that I'm interested in, and then I'm going to tell them where I'm going to go so that we can have that after party chat. So do you do that, or do you just like hit it at 8:30 and like see 007 out the back?
Remind me to get to that part. I just
Yeah.
wanted to add to your cat story. So I have
Yeah.
four of them. And one of the things, the best and easiest way to make sure that a cat wants to touch you is to not try to pay attention to the cat. The cat wants to be able to see, yes, it wants to convert you. It does not want to be converted.
Mm,
So if you put your hands up or if you try and like circulate, it's going to be like, oh, interesting. I find this curious. I would like to know more. Yes, if you are too forward, too aggressive, perfect analogy, right? If you're too
yeah.
forward, too aggressive, they will absolutely back away, right? If you have loud feet, like my nephew does, they immediately hide in the basement. That is true. So for me, there's no, from a networking standpoint, there's no intentionality about being scarce or trying to create mystery. Again, it's just kind of case by case basis of like when somebody's available, what timing is thing, what other things do I need to get done during that day. But oftentimes I'm probably unintentionally scarce because I'm like, okay, social battery is drained. I now, I've been to all 48 continental states. I probably, if I've been in any location, because I used to write about startup ecosystems for Inc., I've probably been in all states or cities, and Louisville would be a good example of where we were. Like, I'm like, well, I have my three spots that I want to go to. So I'm going to be getting Simply Thai and I'm going to be scooting because I just want to go hang out in like St. Matthews or the Highlands, not downtown. And I just want to go out and literally touch grass, go for a walk, get in my 10,000 steps and go do those things. And really it has nothing to do with me wanting to be a good or bad networker. It's just, I am like, I have to be intentional about my own time and take care of myself, or otherwise I just burn out. And I think
Yeah.
like that was something I learned the hard way over and over and over again, because I would do like 20 days on the road. I'd be doing conference after conference. I was like, well, this is so efficient. I mean, think of all the places I get to fly to, and then I don't have to fly back. And like, oh, it's like Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. This is great. Until you're like, oh, wow, I'm having a panic attack because I have literally not done enough to calm my brain down. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I find that when I'm on the road more than 3 or 4 days, my diet starts to slip, my fitness starts to slip, and then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of spirals. You need that reset period, totally. Okay, I
100%.
know that you have a hard out today, so I'm going to switch. I'm going to skip a couple of these. Um, you're always the host, and you're an amazing host. You ask such great questions, and you're such an entertaining pundit or foil to bounce against. What are the questions? What is the top question that you wish somebody would ask you about?
Well, again, so sometimes I'll go on like cable news or I'll go on like local news, and like I think the number one question is always like, is TikTok gonna die? I'm like, no, it's still here. And then they'll be like, well, is it gonna die now? I'm like, no, it's still here. I'm like, what about now? I'm like, no, but it's owned by the Ellisons. Like, no, I think what I'm always interested and curious in is not what is the trend, not what is the thing that people are chasing, but how do you counter what the 99 out of 100 people are doing? Because if you can try to think a step ahead, right? If back to your example, right? If we're talking about those large language models, like if you're seeing a bunch of people do that kind of descent to the middle of content and you can be divergent, right? And find a way to just kind of completely surprise people or break through that noise, that is the very definition of what advertising is. Advertising is surprise. If you know it's coming, you get bored and you flip the channel, or you try and hit the skip button as hard as possible on YouTube, but it won't go because you still have to wait 5 more seconds.
I'm aware. Yeah, I have 16-year-old boys that got their phones, and those guys will like. I doom scroll for sure. Like, there's no doubt I doom scroll.
Oh,
right?
yes.
But they like doom speed scroll. They're not even watching the whole. I like it when somebody builds a wood structure in the woods, like a camping like survival structure.
Building off the grid.
Good I have no idea why I like it, but like it comes up there, I'm like, crap, I'm stuck here for 5 minutes. I have to watch it.
Yeah.
But no, my boys, it's all about surprise. So.
And while you're thinking about that, doom scrolling got me to go to a UFO convention. That's a topic for another day. But anyway, continue.
we keep dodging conspiracy theories. Do you have any conspiracy theories about social media? For instance, this shows up here and it's actually not that. Like, the promise of social media is that anybody can make it, but I kind of think social media is really a Hollywood game. Do you have any contrarian opinions on the social media?
Plenty of contrarian experiences, like not necessarily conspiracy theories. I think there are plenty of those. Really curious to see what The Onion does in that space, because now they're going to get into video shows, and I saw a trailer for one. They're like, what if I told you JFK was killed, blah, 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 here? And they're like, or what if I told you it was a suicide? And like, no, I'm pretty sure it was in the car. Like, they're breaking the fourth wall on this. I'm like, okay, so that's interesting. Now we can start parodying conspiracy theories because we've gone so far. No, on the social side, like, I would say this, like, it is not fully open to everyone. It would be my contrarian thought, would be that economy of scale does exist, right? You would have to know how to be good at thumbnails. You would have to know these like 5 or 6 algorithmic things. You can't just, there was an era in the late 2000s, early 2010s where you could just wing it. You could be the person who posts free shavakadu at Del Taco on Vine and become famous. The problem though is what we spent all of our time doing in that era is we were trying to do quote unquote virality, but we weren't trying to be sustainable. What I think has been really good is all of these creators have really focused on, okay, well then how do I sustain and keep your attention? So because of that, the causality is, it is now much harder for you to get to that upper echelon or even that mid-tier unless you do something incredibly weird that has to do with lawns or ASMR or something that's not being, you almost have to find a niche of a niche, or just be charismatic as hell. But that's probably my biggest thing, that I think the promise that you can just do whatever is no longer there.
Yeah, no, I found that as well. Having run this podcast, I'm not at 400 yet. I think I'm at 125. I think this is 125. I learned about thumbnails around 80, and I learned about lighting at around 60. And
same.
There are a lot of little tricks that you pick up. And I think sometimes you get into it and you're like, oh, that's exhausting. It won't matter. It does matter. Mm-hmm. But, just get on there, keep producing, and then keep growing every round, and then you'll eventually get there.
Well, I would also say, like, sorry to interrupt, like, it's just my instinct to do it. I would say that, like, most podcasts, you aren't actually trying to sell comfortable bed sheets or like prepackaged meals. It's a form of networking. So go out there and do it. and figure out like what you can bring in value there, and be bad at it for a while, and then try to get better at it, and then, you know, see where you can take it. It's, again, I think in an era where we're trying to drill down so far to like short-term KPIs and things that you have to do quickly to, you know, try to get past something for 3 days, it's depth. Depth is where you need to be trying to spend your time, and it's depth of connection, depth of content, all levels of and layers of depth, so that somebody will want to work with you and remember you.
Okay, I feel obligated. I know that we're running out of time. I feel obligated to talk AI for a second.
Let's
How
do
do
it.
you how do you use AI? I can talk about the projects that I'm working on as well, but how are you using AI so that you're not just, I love that you said it earlier in the show, racing to the midpoint, right? Because AI is just following what everybody's talking about. And so if everybody's doing it, it weights it higher and that becomes the mid. How are you using AI so that you are a standout, so that you're a surprise? And so you're a little counterculture, and so people will pay attention.
Oh, okay. So this is where that gets really challenging, right? And like when I'm
Yeah.
saying racing to mid, I mean like your content is just going to be cringe. It cannot. I'm a fan of what people use Lovable and Replit, but not to build something that's like the next $1 billion company. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to get you to use a lot of tokens and generate a lot of cost, and then, you know, like stay on the hamster wheel. I think the best use cases for AI from an enterprise standpoint or from your own personal business standpoint are creating something where you intimately know that space. You've spent, you know, years or decades in that space, and creating a little tool that only exists for you, maybe a handful of friends.
Yep.
Share it if you want to. It's creating these very minute, very specific things that can hopefully give you an advantage somewhere. Now, that's sounding intentionally vague, but again, because I don't know everybody's space, right? I know how I would and how I do use that in PR. I know how I use that on the creator economy side. On the creator economy side, there's some specific lanes that are just kind of untouched or you know, underrepresented that I think, you know, I've been spending some time in, and I think are making a lot of sense. Again, if you know a space, you'll know where people aren't paying attention. Do not try and create the thing that is going to be slightly better at the thing everybody's doing. It won't.
Right.
Just disavow that. You should spend your time looking at creating, because again, then the bar is much lower, right? And I think putting the expectation too in AI that it's going to change everything, no, but it can give you some efficiencies. Also, try and tweak your, you know, your GPT or whatever it is to be rude to you, rather than, you know, being constantly affirming.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
challenge that part of it, because that will be helpful.
Yeah. No, I love it. I've recently installed the Council. I know it's been on Facebook recently, which if it's on Facebook, I understand that it's probably 4 months old. So my daughter tells me. But I enjoy it. It gives me 5 different views on the work that I'm working on. It's not quite being rude, but it's definitely inviting dialogue on the thing that you're doing.
Good use case. Absolutely. Perspective.
Yeah. For instance, this show right here, I take everybody gets, I know that you got the email too. Everybody gets this like survey from me, and it's like, give me 5 bullet points about what you want to talk about. Most people don't have a bio. You have a great bio. And it automatically writes me the bio. It does the SEO research to give me the show notes, like the show title and the show notes. It writes now I think everybody knows when they see the post that post was written by AI, but it's better than what I was going to write, because I wasn't going to, you know, put an hour and a half into the project. And now it makes my thumbnails for me. And all of those are little agents that I've made on the side. Not even agents, technically, they're just skills, right? I'm in the process of doing second brain work, where I can take all of my philosophies and then put them in there, so that I can have myself as a counsel, right? So now I can dialogue with myself with the brand, whatever is just coming in from the news. So you got a claw agent that takes news reels from the places that I scrape, shoves them into my brain, and then my second brain kicks it back out to me and says, hey, I think you care about this. I think you might think this about that. What do you think about it? And now I'm training my second brain to dialogue with current events for me, which is super fun. That's not quite ironed out yet. And then, because I'm trying to build the second brain so that I can write books faster. So that's my current use cases for it.
Oh, I like that one. I have my autonomous agents. So I've been doing that for like 3 months now. What I've been having them do is, don't be token maxing. Look at the examples of people that sit in the space where it's only going to cost you like $100 a week if you can. That's fine. Like if you can afford that, It will do a lot for you. I would
Oh yeah.
say that Claude Code has been great.
Oh
Parallel
yeah.
for research has been really helpful. There's a few other things to kind of a few other tools, but like hell, you'll find them. That's not hard. I just think
Yeah.
it's not overloading too many different ideas onto one autonomous agent. Like just giving them a very specific thing that they can drill down deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper on will give you better insight than being like, hi, catch all OpenClaw, please do all 19 of these tasks. I think it's better to have more, not less, having to do specific tasks. But you know, the best part of this is
Yep.
we're all just figuring it out as we go.
Oh,
You should
totally.
probably check out Ruben Hassid on YouTube. He's the most candid person that I get AI advice from. He's also on LinkedIn. He's really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check him out. Um, yeah, the whole reason I'm doing the second brain is because if you structure your files appropriately, you can vastly
Mhm.
reduce your tokens. And I actually ran into this in engineering. Is a lot of times my bosses would use misplaced rules of thumb. They'd quote some quote at me, and it was just like, you know, like the power of the and. But this was like a conversation where we were supposed to be necking down and only doing one thing, and they're like, "Well, you got to believe in the power of the and." I'm like, that's not the right rule of thumb for this scenario. I need you to make a choice, left or right. And yeah, so token usage is a human thing as well as an AI thing. Um,
Oh, like there's a really cool podcast I listened to called Basketball Illuminati, which again, I just wanted to
oh
bring it
yeah,
back to conspiracy theories.
do it.
But they have in their promo like audio, they have like,
Yeah,
what if you were using 10% of your brain, but you didn't know you were using 10% of your brain? It's like, yeah, with AI, it's like hopefully we're still always going to be using 10% of our brain. I understand that.
right.
But if you can drill it down and focus things in an era where we're getting increasingly bad at being able to focus, that can be kind of the counterbalance.
Yeah. No, I love that. The idea that focus uh, is the currency of the day. And that surprise, and this comes from you. You've said it to me before the show, and I was really just stunned by it. That's why we named the show this.
Yeah.
That it's really about surprise. It's about doing something that is counter to the trend. If you want to be uh, worthy of following, do something that surprises people. Listen,
Yeah,
we
it's
are out
it's
of
it's like if you write like if you see that somebody is writing something that's AI in like so many paragraphs, right? And your thing is like just a snarky two sentences, and it allows people to bring back more. It's in length, it's in tone, it's in format, it's in how you do video. It's you know, creating video now, like there's some great AI tools. There's some people that I follow that can create little interesting hooks, same as we talked about with thumbnails, all that stuff. I stepped on your outro, but let's go.
Yeah, no. This one's an interesting for me. Most of the time, my guests are selling something. They have a business where they're selling something. You already have such a great media presence. I know you have the 400
Yeah,
person, no, 400,000 person newsletter. So a couple of people think that what you
couple.
have to say is interesting. You also have the Shorty Awards. Sorry, it's No Fluke podcast, which I got to
Mhm.
be a contestant on. Contestant, maybe? I think it was a contestant.
Yeah,
Um,
when you come back on the second time, we'll call you a returning champion. I stole that from Shorts, but yeah, yeah,
I love it. I'm gonna give you the last 2 minutes here. Just talk to the audience. Floor is yours.
As you said, nothing to sell. You can find me, and a quick Google will tell you what I do. But I think core to what I was talking about with you before the show, I think I want people challenging their thought on, I don't need to race a bunch of people for the same thing. I will never get there. That sounds incredibly difficult. I really want people to be able to focus on what are the things that would feel unique? What is my unique voice? And I think the biggest challenge slash opportunity right now is everybody's going to kind of narrow and funnel that voice. And that's going to sound homogenized. There's a couple really good YouTube shows that talk about music. So I'll make this story time, and I'll end on this.
Yeah.
I think is it Rick Beto? I might screw up his last name, but he talks about how because everything in modern music has a perfectly perfected drum beat, we've gotten to the point now where everything kind of sounds the same. Now, I will say as a caveat, once you get past the music that you liked while you were a college student, you probably all say, that's the thing that I liked, and everything else sounds the same. But it is very much true that because you're not recording live drums, because mistakes aren't being made, because mistakes being made, we everything becomes homogenized. We kind of know what to expect in that pattern. And once we know what to expect in that drum pattern, we get a little bit bored. And I think the most common misconception of the attention economy is this. It's that because everybody's trying to get attention, that I have to be perfect. I have to be absolutely perfect to get attention. And I would disabuse yourself from that entire philosophy. Meaning that, like when we have a conversation, sometimes we're thinking about our response rather than we're listening. Most people are thinking about what they need to be doing to get their own attention. They're not concerned with what you're doing. So I would say you don't have to be perfect. You actually have to be flawed and different and make mistakes and trial and error and do all of those things. And that's actually how you will get noticed in the attention economy. Because if you try and be perfect, it's all just mid.
Wow. I think that's the drop line right there. If you're trying to be perfect, it's all just mid. Well, I think you guys understand why I had Jeff on the show. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. If you want to follow Jeff, I put his LinkedIn and the Shorty Awards It's No Fluke podcast in the comments. Please follow him. If you find that if you have a need that he can help you with, if you're finding yourself being a little bit mid and you're looking to spice up your content, reach out to Jeff. Tell him you saw him on the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. And with that, we are out.